Hello Yin Yogis, this is Sue, and you are watching Yin Yoga with Sue Blei. Today we are going to start with centering, so here I am outside on a beautiful day, and these are the props that I use when I am centering. I like to stack a couple of blocks and then sit in firm pose, so that's this kneeling pose. Now you can sit in any position that feels good. You don't have to use the blocks. You can sit directly on the floor. Just find a place where you can get comfortable, press down through your sits bones. Spine nice and tall. Now hold your hands any way that feels good. You can choose a mudra if you like, or just place your hands gently on your knees or on your thighs, just whatever feels good for your body. Now feel yourself sitting up tall, close your eyes, and just start to feel your breath. Feel the natural breath moving through your body. As you're breathing, allow yourself to bring more attention to being present, to being here right now. You may find that your breath begins to get just a little bit longer, a little bit slower. Let that happen naturally. Feel the way the inhale breaths fill up your lungs. And then as you exhale, you might feel the body soften just a little bit more. As you're breathing in and out, notice that there are moments between your breaths. So at the top of your breath, as you inhale your breath, pause and be still. As you're ready to release your breath, exhale. At the bottom of your exhale breath, pause and be still. Take a few of these breaths, feeling still. You are sitting in stillness and silence, feel free to set your intention for your practice, giving your practice a purpose. Periodically checking in, feeling that your body is still in a relaxed but alert state. You can feel the breath, the inhales nourishing your body, each exhale breath releasing anything that doesn't serve you. Allow your mind to clear and your body to settle. Notice if it's difficult to allow the mind to quiet. Every time you feel your mind beginning to wander, just come back to your breath. Let your breath keep you centered and focused. Let your breath keep you present. Just notice the way this feels right now. After you have taken a few mindful breaths, quietly settled into this spot, into your space, know that you can always come back to this sensation, this feeling, as you're practicing today. Recall that intention that you set. Feel like you can seal your intention with a cycle of breath. So if you're sealing your intention with a cycle of breath, you'll take a nice big breath in. And then as you are ready, a slow breath out. Now start to return to your natural breath, the breath that feels just right for your body. start to transition into some yin poses. So when you're ready, make sure all of your props are nearby. Any props that you want to use, your block, your blanket, bolster, all of that's near. And the first pose, the first yin pose you're coming into is a supported bridge pose. So for supported bridge, you'll lie back on your mat. Oh, I've got the timer there, so I'm going to keep time. You don't have to worry about that at all. I'll just lie back. And then bend both of your knees so your feet are flat on the floor. And you'll place whatever prop you want to use right underneath your low back. So that might take a little bit of adjusting. It can be any height. So if you're using the block, it could be at a low height, a medium height. It can even be at the highest. If you want something a little bit softer, you can always use the bolster. Now, if your back is a little bit tender, you might even use just your blanket. Now, you can adjust your arms. Your hands could be on your belly, connecting to your breath. Your arms could be overhead if that feels okay on your shoulders. As you're settling into this caterpillar pose, this supported bridge pose, you'll just allow yourself to soften. So this is a nice supported back bend. There's no effort here. You don't need to use any muscular strength. You're letting your low back be supported by your prop, whatever that prop is. Now begin to soften through the spine, or soften the muscles along the spine, all the way up into your shoulders. Feel your shoulders nice and flat on the mat, nicely supported. Now, if the arms are overhead, just feel the difference in your shoulders. Notice if there is any tension through your neck or even your scalp. Now think about the front side of your body. Soften through your belly. Feel open and expansive through your heart and your chest. Well, find a place where you can be completely comfortable, where your muscles don't have to do any work. Come into a space of stillness. And once you have found that space, once you're feeling still, bring your attention to your thoughts, to your mind. What are you thinking about right now? During your practice, you'll do your best to bring your thoughts into the present, into the now, into what you are experiencing at this very moment. So your breath, the breath that you were working on in the beginning when you were centering, is a great tool to bring you back to being here. So if you find that your attention begins to go in another direction, just start to focus on your inhales and your exhales. Now, part of the work of Yin Yoga is to lie in stillness and allow the work to happen passively. So for the next few minutes, rest comfortably in this supported bridge pose. Every now and then you want to check in. Make sure that your muscles are still at rest. Notice how you feel in your back and in your shoulders. Everything is still soft. Notice if your lips are pressing together or if there's tension in your face. Soften your facial muscles. can stay just like you are. If you want to take a variation, you can start to extend your feet toward the top of your mat. Your heels will gently rest on the mat while the legs are straight. So just decide if that feels okay for your back first. And if you're deciding to take this variation, notice how you feel on the front of your thighs and your hip flexors. Now hands can go to your belly, again, if you want to check in or connect a little bit more with your breath. Hands on the belly just allows you to feel the rise and fall as you're breathing in and out. Arms could go overhead if that feels better for your shoulders. Arms out wide, palms up is another great option. Now as you're resting in this supported bridge with straight legs, notice the way your toes fall in opposite directions as you begin to soften from the toes all the way up to your knees, your hips. Feel that space through your belly. Notice your heart. Notice your chin and your throat. Let the back of your head and your shoulders feel completely supported by the earth, supported by your mat. And then come back to your breath. Let your inhale breath nourish the body. And each time you exhale the breath, release what doesn't serve you. Ready to let go of that variation, you'll bend both of your knees. So coming right back to the beginning, you might let your hands rest on your belly for a moment. Just be still. And when you are ready to exit the pose completely, you'll lift just enough to remove the prop underneath you. Let your knees come to touch one another and then separate your feet a little bit wider than your hips. So there's no effort here, but you're feeling the effects from the pose. When you're ready to move in any way that is appealing. So for me right here, pulling the knees into the chest, drawing some circles with the knees feels best. You might choose to do something else. Windshield wipering the knees side to side might feel really nice. A twist might feel good. Maybe just staying still with your feet flat on the floor is the best option for your body. So listen to your body and reset in a way that you connect to. Feel free to take as much time as you like settling in or recovering from your posture. The next pose we'll come into together is a square pose. So this square pose is a great big hip opener. If your hips are tight, we have a couple of options. You could sit on a blanket or sit on a block. You could even sit on your bolster if that feels a little bit better. Now you'll start to take your ankle on top of your knee. And if that feels a bit too much, try putting a block underneath your ankle. That should take some pressure out. And once you find a place that feels comfortable, that feels good, you're welcome to lean forward to bring your body forward. Now, if that's not okay for your back, just grab the bolster, tilt it on its side, and then let your body be supported by the bolster. Your chin or your forehead can rest on your hands. Find that place that's comfortable for you. Notice how you feel in your hips and in your knees. I want to make sure you're coming into a place where you feel sensation, but it's not so much sensation that you would say it hurts or it's hard to breathe. So use your props in a way that makes sense for your body on this side. And once you've come into that space that feels pretty good, notice if there's tension through the body. So if you're feeling tension through your hips or your low back, is it the amount of intention that you're wanting to feel? So during your yin practice, we are looking for sensation. We do want to feel something in the body, but you decide the intensity. How much is enough? How much is not enough? Now soften through your knees, soften through your hips. If you're rounding forward, soften all along your spine up to your shoulders. And if your head is leaning forward, Notice that nice little stretch on the back of your neck. Allow your body to be still and just allow yourself to enjoy the posture. Near the end of your pose, notice if your body's holding on to tension anywhere. You worked really hard at the beginning of your posture to set the body up in stillness. Check back in with your hips. Check in with your knees, your back, your shoulders. Let everything soften. When you're ready to release, you can press the hands on the floor, maybe on your legs, and slowly start to stack your spine. So bring your shoulders right over your hips. Pause in stillness and just appreciate the difference now in your hips. And when you are ready to move, you want to give your body a little bit of help. So you can take one hand to your foot and one hand to the back of your leg and slowly start to unwind. Now take your time unwinding each leg. It might feel nice to wrap your arms around your shins and just fold for a moment. If you prefer to straighten the legs right away, that's okay too. But just find a moment where you can be still. You can be still and feel the effects of the posture. Now starting to reset the body in any way that feels right for you. So windshield wipering the knees often feels pretty nice. Take a twist if your spine is looking for a little bit of relief. Move in any way your body asks you to. So it doesn't matter if it's been cued or suggested. Now once you feel like your body is ready to move to the other side, you'll start to make your way into square with the opposite ankle on top of the opposite knee. So this is a new side and you might look a little different and feel a little different. So you can always sit on a block or sit on a blanket. Lifting your hips will take some pressure out. You could also place a block underneath your ankle. You can use the bolster if your back is bothersome. As you are ready, you'll start to round forward. Round forward and notice how the hips respond as you start to come forward. So if your hips are very tight, take your time rounding. Notice if there's tension in the glutes or the low back. Allow your low back to broaden a little bit and allow the glutes to soften. Now, as you're folding forward in your square pose, you can notice your breath. You might even feel the body change slightly. Each time you breathe in, you slightly lift. Each time you breathe out, you deepen into your posture. Let your body come into stillness. And then start to be mindful of your mind, thoughtful about your thoughts. When your mind begins to wander, come back to your breath. Take a moment to check in with your body. Allow your mind's eye to travel through your body, checking in with your hips and your back, checking in with your knees, softening the areas that your body can soften. As you're ready to leave the pose, very slowly, very gently start to lift the upper body. Feel the sensations once your spine is stacked. Notice how you feel through your hips and your low body. Now be still just like that as long as you like. Moving on when you are ready. So if you're ready to release the legs, support yourself. So one hand to the foot, one hand behind the knee. You can find stillness again with your legs straight or with your knees bent and your arms wrapped around your shins. You could have your head toward the knees or a tall stacked spine, whatever feels good for you. Now stay still again here as long as you like, just feeling energy move and change. When you're ready to move in any way you like, so let your instincts tell you how to move. Your body will instinctually decide that it needs to move a certain part in a certain way, so just listen to that. Sometimes you want to do something a little more yang, so use a little more strength, like a reverse plank, especially after rounding forward. Reverse tabletop would feel really nice here too. When you're ready for the next posture, we're coming into a half saddle pose. Now you can always sit on a block, sit on a blanket or a bolster if you're a little bit tight through your hips or through your knees. So the first side I'm going to do is my good side, and so I don't need to sit on a block. I'm going to take the heel toward the hip, and then you can stay in an upright position or you can lean back. So as you're leaning back, come onto your elbows. Now if you don't come back all the way, you can place blocks underneath your elbows. If it feels like you're not getting enough of a stretch here, come down onto your elbows, and then you can eventually come all the way back onto your shoulders. So just be careful of your knee, careful of your ankle joint as you're coming back. Find that spot that feels good, and then decide what you'd like to do with your hands. So you could have your hands on your belly, connecting to your breath. Arms could be out wide, palms up. You could have the arms overhead, just depends on how you feel in the shoulders. Now I am staying with the opposite leg straight, but if you wanted a little bit more, so if you're not feeling enough sensation, you could always bend that straight leg so that the foot is on the floor and the knee points up toward the sky. Now notice where you feel the sensation. Maybe you feel this in your quadriceps, the top of your thigh. Maybe you feel this in your hip flexors. It's possible that you feel a lot of sensation in your knee joint or your ankle. Always checking in, making sure you're in a safe space. There is absolutely no pain. Now pay attention to the bent knee side, so find some space through the ankle, the knee, and through your hip. And then notice the straight leg side, so soften your toes to your ankles, to your knees, all the way up to the hips. Feel your glutes soften, the whole back side soften. Feel the way the body is open on the front side. Allow your shoulders to soften and release tension through your neck. Soften your jaw and breathe easy. if you are all the way back, to come out of the posture, you're going to bring your elbows to the mat and slowly start to use arm strength to lift up. Now stack your spine. And here you can pause again, feeling different through the body now that you're sitting upright. When you're ready to release the bent knee, you're going to grab the ankle. Keep your calf and your hamstring connected as you come forward. And you might want to stay just a bit longer with the knee bent. You can absolutely straighten the leg if that's what your body's asking for. So nice and slow, really intense stretch for the body. Pause in stillness as long as you feel changes happening, as long as you feel energy moving through the body. When you're ready to move, it might feel really nice to stretch out, grabbing for your toes, stretching the backs of your legs. A nice forward fold. You might want to wiggle the toes and work through your ankles. Windshield wipering the knees side to side often feels good. Remember, you've got those yang options too, a reverse plank or reverse tabletop. So we're going to try saddle on the other side. And some months ago, I did something to my knee. And so I'm just checking out, seeing if that pain is still there. And yep, it's still there. So I'll use a block on this side. Now, if you're using a block or a bolster underneath, then you'll stay upright. In this position, I can feel that there's a lot of work going on in my knee. I'm still stretching through that joint. I can also feel the top of the foot pressing into the mat, and I can feel the ankle stretch. So if you prefer to go just a little bit deeper, if you're not sitting on a block, you'll come back. You can come back onto the elbows, or maybe your shoulders come all the way down to the floor. You're still checking in with this side, making sure that your joints feel good. You feel that there's a stretch happening, there's stress happening to your connective tissue, but nothing is painful. Now place your hands anywhere that feels comfortable on your belly, outstretched, or maybe overhead. Now notice where you feel the most. Where is this pose intense for you? And let your mind's eye travel to that space, checking in with the muscles in that spot, and then checking in with the surrounding muscles. So you might check in with how you feel on the top of your thigh. How do you feel in your hips and your glutes? If you're leaned back, notice the way the mat is supporting you. The mat supports you and allows you to rest a little bit easier, soften the muscles so that you can become very still in the posture without any effort. Now, eyes are closed. Just enjoy the stillness of this half saddle. Releasing when you are ready. If you're all the way reclined, give yourself a little bit of help here. So you'll start to come up onto your elbows first before you come up into the upright position. You might pause in stillness for a moment. And support your body as you're coming out. So you'll reach for your ankle and bring your foot forward. You might pause there or maybe straighten the leg right away. Just find a place where you can be still, where you can feel the effects of the posture on your body. Now move when you are ready to move. So use that instinct. Think about what it is your body is asking for. Maybe to stretch out the back of your legs, maybe to stretch out the front of your ankles. And when you're ready to move on, the next pose we're coming into is a reclined twist. So if you like to use props in this posture, a blanket, a block, a bolster, just make sure it's all within your arm's reach, that you can get to it easily. Now you'll lie back on the mat, shift your hips just a bit over toward the left, and then let your knees fall over toward the right. Now you can bring a block under the knees or between the knees if your legs don't comfortably come toward the floor. So while you're coming into this twist, you can have your arms out wide. You could have one hand gently resting on the knee, so that just encourages the body to stay in that nice twist. The hips gently stack, and you're feeling both of your shoulders flat on the mat. You could twist your head or move your neck so that you're facing the opposite direction of your knees, if that's comfortable. Now close your eyes and just settle in here. Settle in. There's a small twist in your spine, so maybe feel the back relax a bit. Feel the way both shoulder blades are gently resting on the mat, so without any effort, just allowing gravity to press your shoulders toward the earth. Feel the way your hips stack, and maybe there's some sensation in your hips or maybe in your low back. While you're here, you might focus on your breath. You can imagine the breath moving up and down the spine. Each inhale breath, your breath moves up the spine from the base all the way to the crown of your head. As you exhale the breath slowly moves from the crown all the way to the base of your spine. You might envision it as you're breathing in and out. To check in, making sure that the body is still and soft. As you're ready to come out of the pose, you'll come back through center. So point the knees up toward the sky, shift the hips back to center. Let your hands rest on your belly for a moment. You can bring the knees close and separate the feet wide. So we're not going to reset the body in between this twist. Just enjoy stillness for a moment. And when you're ready to take the other side, you're going to shift the hips. This time shift a little bit toward the right and let your knees fall toward the left. Now just as much care coming into your twist on this side. So if you want a little support, you could place a blanket, a block, maybe even a bolster under your knees or between the knees. You can see that little twist through the spine. While the hips stack, the shoulders gently rest on the mat, rest on the floor. Now you might have your hand resting on your knee or your thigh, just resting there, not pushing or pulling, just there. There to encourage that beautiful twist, that change through your body. Now, if you enjoyed visualizing your breath moving through the spine, you might give your breath a light. So as you begin to inhale, imagine that light moving up your spine. As you begin to exhale, imagine that light moving down your spine. Now notice if you gave your light a color. Maybe it's white. Maybe you gave your light a different color. Color from the rainbow. Maybe a color that represents a chakra. Watch the light move up and down as you breathe. Ready to release the pose, you'll just come back onto your back, adjust your hips, and pause for a moment. Let the knees rest upon each other. Let your hands rest on your belly. Just feel the effects from that twist. Now resetting, moving here if your body's calling for it. Your body may feel very good, very amazing after a twist, so you might not feel like you need to move around. But if you do, happy baby, or when we're moving, just windshield wiping the knees side to side might feel nice. Now your last posture will be Shavasana. So for Shavasana, use your props in any way that feels good. So for my body, I really like to bring the bolster underneath the knees. And that helps my low back feel just a little bit better. Now, traditional Shavasana, you will separate your feet wider than your hips, and in your Yin Yoga, maybe even take up more space than that so that your heels are off of the mat. Arms out wide, palms up and open. Your hands might even be higher than your shoulders. Now, if you're in a space where it's a little bit chilly, use a blanket to cover up. Think about all that you've learned during your practice about your body and use that information to come into the best Shavasana. This is the icing on the cake. This is the end of the practice. This is often considered to be the best part. Now take a little scan of your body, starting at your toes. Feel your toes and your ankles soften. Feel the tops of your shins. Feel the tops of your thighs spacious. Allow your calves and your hamstrings to settle. And notice the glutes. Let your glutes soften. And feel some space through your hips and your low back. Continue to travel up your back into your shoulders, feeling the shoulder blades gently resting on the mat. Feel the front side of your belly. No work here, just soft. Feel your chest broaden and your heart shine. Come up to your shoulders and bring your mind's eye from your shoulders to your elbows, from your elbows to your wrists, and then all the way to the tips of your fingers. Feel your fingertips gently curling back. Let go of any tension through your neck. Feel your scalp soften. Let the muscles of your face relax a bit, so cheeks soften, your forehead softens. Find just a little bit of space between your teeth, and then let your lips softly rest against one another. Feel free to come back to your intention, come back to the breath, be present. Now stay in Shavasana a little bit longer if you like. If you're ready to come out, you might start to breathe in a little bit deeper. Start to stretch a little bit, wiggle the ankles, wiggle the wrists. Now when you're ready to start to come out, you might roll over onto your side, bring your arm underneath your head, and just rest there for a breath or two. You can make your way to your seat when you're ready. It has been my honor to guide you through your practice. The love and the light within me honors and recognizes the love and the light within each of you. Namaste. Thanks for watching our video. If you want to learn more about Yin Yoga, you can check out my book. It's called Yin Yoga for Everybody: How to Support Your Yin Poses with Props, and it is available on Amazon.